that Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident.
Interesting. Sounds rather sort of bizarre, but I did go to Diana's coffin the day after I'd written it.
On Diana's 65th birthday, one question returned with a force the palace could not easily soften. Was her grave simply a private resting place, or had Althorp become the one corner of royal history the crown could never fully control? And now, with William reportedly drawn back toward that memory, Britain began asking what was still hidden beneath the silence. For 27 years, the island at Althorp has carried a kind of power no palace balcony, no state carriage, and no official statement has ever managed to replace. Diana, Princess of Wales, was laid to rest there in 1997, surrounded by water, trees, and the Spencer family land that remained outside the direct reach of the royal institution she had once married into. It was private by design, protected from crowds, cameras, and the endless appetite of a world that never stopped wanting one more piece of her. But on July 1st, 2026, the date Diana would have turned 65, that privacy began to feel less like an ending and more like the beginning of a new mystery. Across royal circles and online discussion, a darker question started moving again. Why does Diana's final resting place still create such intense emotion, and why does every mention of Althorp seem to reopen wounds the monarchy has spent decades trying to contain? Nothing about this moment should be treated carelessly. Buckingham Palace has not publicly confirmed that Diana's tomb was opened on her birthday, and many of the most dramatic claims spreading online remain unverified. But that has not stopped the story from catching fire, because the idea itself touches something the public already feels. Diana's grave is not just a grave. It is the place where public mourning ends and private truth begins. It is the one location connected to her that does not belong to the palace narrative. And that is why Prince William, the Prince of Wales, stands at the emotional center of the story. Reports suggest that William has been quietly marking his mother's memory in ways that are deeply personal rather than theatrical. No grand spectacle. No dramatic public ceremony. No performance designed for cameras. Instead, the image that has captured the public imagination is far more powerful. A son, now a future king, returning in some way to the memory of the mother he lost before he was old enough to protect her. But was this simply a birthday remembrance, or was something more sensitive beginning to surface? Because when Diana's name is connected to Althorp, the story changes immediately. Kensington Palace can issue statements. Buckingham Palace can manage public appearances. Royal aides can shape language, timing, and tone. But Althorp belongs to the Spencers. It belongs to Diana's bloodline, not the institution that struggled with her during life and still wrestles with her legacy after death. That distinction matters more than many people realize. For decades, Diana has existed in two different worlds at once. In one world, she is the beloved princess remembered through photographs, charities, fashion, motherhood, and the painful beauty of what might have been. In the other, she is the unresolved royal wound, the woman whose pain exposed emotional failures inside the very system she helped humanize. And Althorp sits between those two worlds like a locked door. That is why the viral tomb stories are so powerful, even when their most dramatic details remain unconfirmed. They are not spreading only because people believe every claim. They are spreading because people sense there is still something unfinished about Diana's story. Something unspoken, something protected, something that no official version has ever completely settled. And then there is William's position. He is not only Diana's son. He is the man expected to carry the monarchy into its next chapter. If he draws close to Diana's memory, the public reads it emotionally. If he keeps distance, they wonder why. If he protects her privacy, some see dignity. If he avoids difficult questions, others see the old royal instinct to contain what cannot be comfortably explained. That is the impossible balance he now faces. The most haunting part is that Diana's 65th birthday did not feel like a normal milestone. It felt like an age stolen from her. She should have been a grandmother now. She should have watched Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis grow. She should have seen the woman Catherine, Princess of Wales, became. She should have watched William step closer to the throne, not as a ghost in the background, but as a living mother beside him. Instead, Britain is left with symbols. A private island, a birthday she never reached, a son who must remember her while serving the crown, a family still divided by what her life meant. And now, a renewed fascination with the one place where Diana's story feels beyond royal control. So the first question is not whether every viral claim about the tomb is true. The deeper question is why so many people are ready to believe that Diana may have left something behind that the world was never meant to see. Because once that question appears, the story is no longer just about a grave, a birthday, or a private family tribute. It becomes about power, memory, and the final secrets of a princess who still refuses to disappear quietly from royal history. That is why the timing mattered so much. Diana's birthday did not create the mystery around Althorpe, but it gave that mystery a new emotional force. A normal anniversary can be marked, managed, and moved past. But a 65th birthday is different. It makes people imagine the life that should have continued, the grandmother who should have been standing beside her family, and the woman who might have had her own version of the truth to tell if time had not been stolen from her. And that is where the story becomes more sensitive, because every time Diana's final resting place returns to public conversation, the royal family is pulled back into a question it has never been able to fully escape. Who gets to protect Diana now? Is it the monarchy, because she became one of its most famous figures? Is it the Spencer family, because Althorpe is their land and Diana was their daughter and sister before she was ever royal? Or is it William and Harry, because they are the sons who carry the deepest wound of all? That question may sound emotional, but inside royal life, it is also about power. Althorpe is not just a beautiful country estate with a tragic history. It represents a boundary. On one side is the crown, with its advisors, traditions, public messaging, and instinct for control. On the other side is the Spencer family, an aristocratic house with its own history, its own pride, and its own right to guard Diana's memory outside palace influence. That separation is one reason Diana's burial place has always felt so different from other royal sites. It does not sit inside Westminster Abbey. It does not belong to Windsor. It is not part of the usual royal pilgrimage route. It is private, and privacy has made it powerful. So when viral stories began suggesting that Diana's tomb had been opened, or that hidden materials were connected to her final resting place, the shock was not only about the claims themselves. Many of those claims remain unconfirmed, and no official source has verified the most dramatic versions spreading online. The shock came from what the public immediately understood. If anything connected to Diana's grave were ever moved, opened, reviewed, or even questioned, it would not be a simple family matter. It would be a moment loaded with history, suspicion, grief, and symbolism. That is why William's role becomes so delicate. The Prince of Wales has spent most of his adult life trying to protect his mother's memory from becoming a spectacle, even while living inside an institution that cannot avoid spectacle. He has spoken of Diana with tenderness, but rarely with excess. He has allowed her influence to appear through causes, family decisions, and quiet references rather than through constant public emotion. But now, if reports and speculation around Althorpe continue to build, William may find himself facing a harder question than remembrance alone. How much of Diana's story should remain private, and how much does the public still feel entitled to know? Harry's position complicates that question even further. The Duke of Sussex has often framed his mother's experience as central to his own understanding of royal life, press intrusion, and family protection. For some supporters, that makes him the son most willing to confront the difficult parts of Diana's history. For critics, it makes every new reference to Diana feel like another reopening of wounds that can never heal if they are constantly exposed. But either way, Harry's presence in this story changes the emotional temperature. If William represents guarded memory, Harry represents the demand for unresolved pain to be acknowledged. And between those two brothers sits the Spencer family, especially Charles Spencer, Earl Spencer, whose connection to Diana's final resting place gives him a role the palace cannot easily replace. He is not a working royal. He does not answer to royal protocol in the same way. His public identity has long been tied to the promise made after Diana's death, that her boys would remain protected from being swallowed completely by duty and tradition. Whether one agrees with every choice made around Diana's legacy or not, the Spencer side of the family remains central because Althorpe is the one physical place where their authority is clearer than the crown's. That is the hidden pressure behind the birthday speculation. It is not only about whether a grave was opened, or whether a visit happened, or whether one private remembrance took place away from cameras. It is about jurisdiction over memory. The monarchy can honor Diana, but it cannot fully own her. The Spencers can guard her resting place, but they cannot control what she means to the nation. William and Harry can speak as sons, but even they cannot stop the public from turning Diana into a symbol of everything the royal family did right and everything it failed to understand. This is why the story grows larger than one reported visit or one viral claim. Diana has become a kind of emotional archive. People return to her whenever the monarchy feels too cold, too distant, or too carefully managed. They return to her when they want to discuss motherhood, mental health, betrayal, press pressure, royal marriage, public compassion, and the private cost of duty. Her grave at Althorpe becomes, in that sense, more than a location. It becomes the place where all those unresolved questions seem to gather. But was the renewed attention around her 65th birthday only public nostalgia, or was it a sign that Diana's legacy is entering a new phase? That is the question royal observers may be watching now. Because the generation that personally remembers Diana as a living figure is aging, while a younger generation knows her through footage, interviews, documentaries, online debates, and the lives of her sons. For them, Diana is not only a princess from the past, she is a mystery still being interpreted in real time. And the more hidden or private something appears, the more powerful the curiosity becomes. That creates a serious challenge for the royal household. Silence may protect dignity, but silence also leaves space for speculation. A careful denial may shut down one rumor, but it may also make people wonder why the story needed addressing at all. A public tribute may comfort some viewers, but others may see it as too controlled. Diana's memory is unusually difficult because the public does not respond to her like an ordinary historical figure. They respond to her as if something remains unfinished. And perhaps that is exactly why Althorpe remains so compelling. It is not only the place where Diana rests, it is the place where the official royal story stops having complete authority. At Windsor, the monarchy speaks in stone, ceremony, and succession. At Buckingham Palace, it speaks through balcony appearances and carefully timed statements. But at Althorpe, Diana's story belongs to family land, guarded water, and the silence of a private island. That silence invites imagination, and imagination is often where viral royal stories begin. This does not mean every dramatic claim should be believed. It means the emotional conditions are perfect for those claims to spread. A beloved princess whose life ended violently. A private grave the public cannot visit freely. Two sons divided by different versions of loyalty. A future king trying to honor his mother without reopening every wound. A younger brother who has spoken openly about fear, trauma, and escape. A royal institution still judged by how it treated the woman who became more loved after leaving its control. The pieces are already charged before any new allegation appears. So the real tension is not only whether something hidden exists at Althorpe. The real tension is that people believe Diana's story still has hidden rooms. They believe there are things left unsaid, choices not fully explained, emotions not publicly acknowledged, and family truths too painful to place inside an official palace sentence. That belief alone has power. It keeps viewers watching. It keeps commentators speaking. It keeps Diana's name alive in moments when the monarchy would rather move forward. And for William, that creates a future problem as much as a present one. As he moves closer to kingship, he cannot simply avoid Diana's shadow. He must decide how to carry it. Too much distance risks making the monarchy seem emotionally disconnected from the woman who changed it. Too much exposure risks turning his mother's memory into another public battlefield. The balance is almost impossible, and yet it may become one of the defining emotional tests of his future reign. Because behind the visible question of a birthday tribute, another issue was beginning to emerge. Diana's grave may be private, but her legacy is not. And if Althorpe remains the one place where the crown cannot fully control the story, then the next question becomes far more dangerous. Who benefits when Diana's silence begins to speak again? Who benefits when Diana's silence begins to speak again? That is the question that makes this part of the story feel so much larger than a birthday rumor or an online theory. Because the moment Althorpe becomes more than a resting place in the public imagination, every person connected to Diana's legacy is forced into a different position. Some are protected by that silence, some are trapped by it, and some may have more to gain from reopening it than they would ever say publicly. For William, the danger is not only emotional. It is constitutional in a quiet but serious way. He is preparing for a future in which every gesture he makes will be measured against the stability of the crown, and Diana remains the one royal memory that can instantly turn public attention from ceremony to pain. If he honors her too openly, the old questions return with her. If he keeps her too private, the public begins to suspect that something is still being guarded. That is why even a reported connection to Althorpe on her birthday becomes sensitive. It places a future king beside a story the monarchy has never fully controlled. And that is the tension William cannot simply walk away from. His mother's image softens him in the eyes of the public because it reminds people that behind the future monarch is a son who suffered a loss almost beyond imagining. But the same image also places pressure on him because Diana's life asks questions about royal duty that William must now answer through his own future reign. Can he build a monarchy that looks more human without allowing emotion to become chaos? Can he protect his family without repeating the silence that hurt his mother? Those are not sentimental questions. They are questions about survival. Harry stands in a very different position. For him, Diana's unresolved story has often been connected to escape, protection, and warning. He has spoken publicly about the fear of history repeating itself, and that phrase alone changed how millions interpreted his departure from royal life. So when speculation rises around Diana's grave, hidden material, or private family truths, Harry becomes the figure many people imagine wanting answers, pushed into the light. That does not mean every viral claim about his role is true. It means the public already understands the emotional logic behind why he would want the silence broken. But there is a risk for Harry as well. The more Diana's memory is tied to conflict, the more some viewers begin to wonder whether her legacy is being honored or pulled into another battle. Supporters may see him as the son refusing to let the past be buried beneath official language. Critics may see him as reopening pain that should belong to the family, not the world. And somewhere between those two reactions lies the real difficulty of Diana.